Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. We are back with the Ted Show, one of my favorite series of all time. Talk it out with the one and only Kendra Davies. What's
Hello.
up, Kendra?
Hi.
How are you today?
I am excellent. How are you?
I am also excellent. You are the guru from Stellar Life Coaching. And today on our series, we're going to talk about facing fears. You know,
Yeah.
just saying that makes me clench a little bit, right? Because nobody wants to talk about their fears. God forbid you could admit you have a fear, and then to
Mhm.
face it, forget all about it. So,
Yeah.
before we take a deep dive into that, though, share with them a little bit about you and Stellar Life Coaching.
Sure. My name is Kendra Davies, and I am a positive psychology practitioner and a life coach. I own Stellar Life Coaching here in Orlando, and Ted and I get together once a week, and we talk about all of the important things that we need to live our best lives and show up in the world and bring our best selves to the table. And this week is one of my favorite topics, and it's facing fears.
Yes, why do you think? I had a few people before we went live, of course, message me. They go, God, I have so many fears. I don't know how to face them all. I think we all kind of feel like that sometimes. So when you talk about this topic, it can be a challenge for some people. They want to watch from afar and see what Kendra and Ted are going to say, they don't necessarily have, or they don't feel like they have the power to face those fears.
Yeah. I feel like we get conditioned, right, as children on how we're going to navigate these things. Like when we experience fear, we're taught really how to avoid the feeling of fear
Yes.
most times, especially in school. I think that we learn how to avoid the feeling of fear. So a lot of the times it's not the thing that we're actually afraid of, it's the consequence of not actually getting it. Like, I'm not afraid of
Yes.
making videos. I'm afraid that I'm going to make videos and then I'm going to get hateful comments.
Yeah.
That's what I'm afraid of. And then I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to deal with that, or I'm going to be humiliated or embarrassed, right?
Right.
So, but the thing is that I'm going to walk around and say, I'm afraid to make videos. I'm afraid to make videos. And then I won't make the damn videos. But really, I'm not afraid of making the videos. I'm afraid that I can't deal with the thing that might happen if I do the videos.
And so why? Like, why do we fear that stuff? Why is it so important? You're right, because I think video is a great example. People are
Mhm.
like, I can't believe what you do every day. Listen, I screw up every single show. Pretty much most shows are a complete disaster if it wasn't for my amazing guests. And so I go in and I'm like, but the message is so important. So I had to figure out how to get past my fear of failure in my mind to
Mhm.
be able to actually get the information out that I knew that was important.
Yeah. And isn't that the case with most things? Like, if your fear is, I'm afraid of, I'm afraid I'm going to be a bad mom. I'm afraid I am a bad mom. I'm afraid I'm a bad partner. I'm afraid I'm going to let you down. I'm afraid to say I'm sorry. I'm afraid to ask for help. I'm afraid, like, whatever the fear is, at the end of the day, when we talk about facing a fear, to me, what I hear people saying when they say, I'm going to face my fear, is I'm going to sit with the feeling and then do that thing any fucking way. Basically
Exactly.
what I'm hearing. Because the fear doesn't go away. Like, just because
Sure.
you do it every day doesn't mean that you're not still afraid,
Correct.
right? But we do it anyways. We face the fear rather than like hide from it, avoid it, dodge it, protect ourselves from it. We're being willing to look it in the eye and say, yeah, I'm afraid. And I'm going to do this shit anyways.
Why is fear such a, why is there so much stigma attached to saying that scares me, that freaks me out, that I feel like people put this pressure on themselves. Like people are going to judge them. You're weak because you say you have a fear. You're weak because you're saying this scares me. And yet, I think everybody experiences it. And I don't know why we put so much pressure on ourselves and our friends and our circle to not try to address the fear.
Yeah, I think that I don't know that I don't know, like what came up for me when you were saying those things was more along the lines of like, I think that we talk about our fear so casually and so flippantly that we don't challenge each other to see what we're actually afraid of. So I'm going to walk around and say I'm afraid of doing videos for 3 years, right? Before one person says, "Are you really afraid of making videos? Or what else might it be?" And then I say, "Well, I'm really afraid of hateful comments," right? Like I'm afraid of saying the wrong thing and it being stuck in the bowels of the internet forever and coming back to haunt me in 10 years. You know what I mean? Like there's deeper fears that I could explore. And when I explore those fears, I can actually challenge them. I can sit with that discomfort. I can be more honest with myself. To me, I think that yes, there's a stigma. I don't want to say that there's not a stigma. There is. But in my world and in my experience, I think that we're able to say pretty clearly when something scares us. I just think that we sit at the surface. We don't go deep. On the surface, we say it's doing the show, it's writing the book, it's speaking in public, it's doing those things. But if I was to challenge you, even for speaking in public, which is a really common fear, right?
Yes.
If you really peel back that layer, it's not about speaking in front of people. It's the fear of failure. It's the fear of fucking it up. It's the fear of saying the wrong thing. It's the
And rejection.
Yeah, like it's that fear of being seen, right? And when you put something in perspective like that, it does a few things. For me, it allows me to have more compassion for myself, right? Because I think what is probably worse than that stigma of just acknowledging a fear is the thing we do to ourselves when we say, you know, like I'm afraid of that rejection, and then I say things like I'm stupid, like I'm never going to do this, I'm never going to make that money, I'm never going to reach that goal, I'm never going to accomplish this thing. I start doing that, and now I've got a whole nother problem outside of the fear. I have this mindset now that is stuck in fear.
Why is it like when you're talking, what I was thinking is, all right, why am I afraid of some of the things I'm afraid of? Why, I recently just made a career move. I would say that the fear of making the career move stopped me from making it sooner. But it just was this overwhelming voice in your head. And I don't know if it starts from childhood or where it comes from, but in my mind, I'm conditioned to going, well, that's a big risk and you might fail. So I'm afraid of failing. And then I'm afraid of what people will think if I fail. And then what if I don't do this right? What are people going to perceive? And so we're constantly trying to address that fear and its multiple levels of it, multiple layers of it.
Yeah. So in research, right, they do the so what test, right? They try to create a hypothesis, right, to generate a correct or accurate hypothesis. They do the so what test, right? So you got to say the thing, and you've probably heard this where they say, you gotta ask the question 7 times to figure out what the truth is for the answer. And it's the same thing as the so what test. Like, so what? I'm afraid I'm going to fail. So what? Well, if I fail, then that means that it's going to be public and people are going to know, and then I'm going to be rejected. So what? Well, my feelings are going to be hurt. So what? Right? And like when we really, really challenge ourselves, we get to see that the big bad boogeyman that we make this thing out to be is most of the time smaller than we think. And we expose the worst case scenario, and the worst case scenario is never the thing that we actually think we're afraid of.
So true. Why is that? Why? First of all, why do we go to worst case scenario? That's a whole nother thing. I know people that literally, if I said the sky is blue, well, in about 1,000,000 years, Ted, it's going to be gone because the star is going to explode and we're all going to be dead. Well, yeah, yes.
But that's a survival tactic, Ted. Like if you think about it, human beings, we have a natural negative bias. We have a negativity bias. This is how we've survived. We survive because our brains remember negative shit, store it away, and then we scan the environment 24/7 to identify where the threats are. Where is that potential threat or fear or danger? You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I think people get caught up in that, though. They want to, oh, listen, Kendra, I'm never going to be able to make my move. it's not because I'm afraid of it. It's because I'm going to fail and blah, blah, blah. And so they throw out this narrative and this rhetoric, and then they don't realize that all of that stems back to what they're really afraid of, and they haven't figured out what that is.
100%. So I have a real COVID 2020 thing happening right now, and my son is coming home. So 1 second.
Oh, good. Hi, son.
Hi. We're live on the internet. Hi. Welcome home.
Hi, Jackson.
Jackson, say hi to the internet.
What's up, buddy?
We're live.
I love that, though.
We are live. And here we go. Sorry about that.
No, don't be sorry. I think that people are, they want to figure out how to face their fears. Whatever they've tried in the past isn't working. And so I think people could use some tools, maybe some ways. Hey, Jackson, some ways to maybe take a step out, take that leap of faith.
Yeah. Well, I think that if we can actually start to pay attention to the idea that fear is normal and fear serves a purpose. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that is avoided or dodged, or it just doesn't have to be that. Like, it can be a useful tool. Like, okay, so I'm feeling fear. If I can identify that I'm feeling it, then I can start asking more questions to have a deeper understanding of it. The answer is no. Thank you. So if we can have a better understanding.
I stood up straight when you said that.
You
My back went straight, and I'm like, oh God, the answer is no.
The answer is no. He knows that I am live. He knows what that means. Asking me for cereal.
I'm not trying to feed it. I'm sorry. It just made me giggle.
So if we have a better understanding of the fear, then we are in a better position to actually approach it. When we are approaching it from the surface and we're saying it's about the video or the book or the job change, we're not actually addressing the thing. You're not actually challenging yourself to face the fear. You're addressing the symptoms of the fear. And so if you can acknowledge that you're afraid, if you can peel back those layers and do the so what test, you can ask the question 7 times, get to the root of it. And when you do that, then you can actually make a plan of action, right? You can get clear on what your next step should be. Because at the end, if what we're really talking about is rejection, if it's going to be, those hateful comments, if it's going to be, I'm going to write my book and nobody's going to care.
Correct.
Nobody's going to read it. Who am I? Who am I to say those things? Who am I to say that I'm an expert?
The imposter syndrome.
Right. Yeah. But now we've gone somewhere. Now we're not talking about writing the book. You're not afraid of writing the book. That's not true. What you're afraid of is that what you have to say won't matter. And that, darling, that is an easy one to tackle. If it's alive.
Tell us how, because I think people are afraid of that. That's part of where the rejection comes in. They're afraid that what they say people either won't listen to, or it won't matter, or it won't make the impact that they want it to make. And so it stops them from speaking their mind, their heart, their passion.
Yeah. Well, and I think that we're talking about something creative. We're talking about something that we want to have impact. I think at the end of the day, we write books because they're alive in us. We create art because it's alive in us. And I think that at the end, we end up attaching ourselves to a final outcome, an end result that we can't control. You cannot control if somebody's going to read your book. What's your marketing plan? What's your strategy for rolling out this book? Like, you're using something that is at least a year away probably from you even writing this book to stop you from even sitting down to write. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
The thing that you're focusing on to prevent you from doing the thing today isn't something that you actually need to worry about just yet. And at the end, we are most concerned with things that we are powerless over. And when you don't have power and you're exerting that kind of energy and you are not living your life over things that you can't control, that you have no authority on, and you can't stop or fix, my darling, I think that you have to ask bigger, deeper, broader questions to get to the root of that.
But I want to fix them all, Kendra. I want to be in control. I'm a power hungry. I want to fly the plane when I'm on the plane. I want to do
Mhm.
all of those things that would, in my mind, put me in the driver's seat to control that fear that I have.
Sure. And
Uh,
what has that gotten you?
Nowhere ever.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the thing is that if we do what we've always done, we're going to continue to get what we've always got. Like
Correct.
that old adage, it never changes. If we do what we've always done, we're going to get what we've always got. Listen, I know what fear of being seen is going to give me. My fear of being seen is going to keep me playing small. It's going to
Yep.
keep me living my life to meet the demands that other people have set. I'm going to be unfulfilled, unsatisfied, and walk around and feel like I should have done more.
Correct.
You know, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas come from that desire for control. And listen, it's an illusion. We
It's
don't
such
have
an illusion.
actual control. You write the book because it's alive in you. You make that job change because something in you says that that is the right thing to do. Is there risk? Yes. Should you take strategic risks? Absolutely. But I think that you have to be willing to concede that your illusion of control, that desire to control, that armor that you're trying to put up to protect you from being vulnerable and from feeling the risk, that is the thing that stops you from getting what you want. People are like, oh, but I'm still afraid. I'm like, yeah, but you're doing that shit anyways. Doesn't it feel awesome? People are like, oh,
Yes.
I can't jump off that cliff in Costa Rica. I'm afraid. Excellent. Do a hard thing. Do a hard thing. Fear is not a stop sign. It's like a gentle glow. It's a flashing light that says, hey, this thing you might want to look closer at. It doesn't have to be full stop. Don't keep going, right? It's not
So
like
if they're in
it's not a
our
saber-toothed tiger.
right, you and I are in their heads right now as they're watching. But what happens, I think, a lot of, and we're going to be positive and say, take that leap, face that fear. And then people go back to their quote unquote circle, and their circle is also full of fear. And their circle wants you not to try anything new because if you try it, then they've got to face their fear and try their
Mm.
thing. And so I think people might, if you're in the right environment, you are going to figure out how to try to address fears one step at a time, maybe. If
Mhm.
you are in the wrong environment and you're constantly going back to that, then you are feeling like, all right, I want to take a leap, but nobody supports me in my circle. So how am I supposed to do it? They're all telling me I'm going to fail.
Mhm. So, I mean, my brass tacks response, right? So first of all, let me hold space for my love and compassion, right? I feel you. Those environments are toxic and they're hard. Here's the brass tacks, yeah? It's your life,
Great.
yours. No one is going to live it for you. These people, as much as they love you, I have taken significant risks. And the people in my life have said, Kendra, that's dangerous. I don't really know. I don't think you should do that. I think if you do that, you're going to lose money. You're going to lose this. It's a big, big risk. And I did it anyways. And sometimes they were right. And I failed and I lost money. And then other times they were not, right? The bottom line is that I make the choice. I'm responsible for my life, my
Yeah.
money, my
Yeah.
business, my goals, my feelings, my thoughts. I am responsible. So when we say like in the right environment, I don't I don't know. I think at some point in time, especially as adults, like when we're children and we learn these things, I don't think that it's our responsibility. It's definitely the responsibility of adults. But as I become an adult and I start to engage with the world, more and more the responsibility comes back to me. Even
Correct.
with trauma, like the moment that I became aware that I had a traumatic childhood and I needed to get help and I needed to do this work in order to be healthy, that's on me to,
Correct.
you know what I mean? That's on me to correct. So even when I get into relationships or even as a parent, as I'm navigating COVID, right? And I get triggered and I have my experiences, it's still my responsibility to not put that burden on the people as a trigger, right? Like to let that negative energy shoot off and out onto the people I love. That's my job to work on that. to ask for support, to say, this is where I am, to learn the communication skills. The same thing is true when it comes to facing fears. I'm still responsible. Nobody has to tell me I can in order for me to fucking do it.
No doubt. I think that people, though, are waiting for permission.
Mm-hmm.
They're waiting for acceptance. So before they even try it, they want to feel it out to see if what they do is going to be accepted by everyone else. Yeah. And I think we get so caught up in what everyone else is going to think and wait for that validation that those fears win. And I don't want people to let the fears win. I want people to go out and make the leap, do the business, get in the relationship, go to an event, get involved, whatever it is that's stopping you, I want you to stop.
Fail more, fail fast, fail better. You know what I mean? Like learn from it. At the end of the day, what happens when we don't do the things that scare us is that we stay stuck. We stay small, and you stay right where you are. That's the bottom line. And if what you say is, I want to move forward, I want to feel like I'm making progress, I want to meet my goals, I want to have this family, and I want to have this life, well, then guess what, love? We're going to have to do something different. And it might be scary, and it might be hard, and you might fuck it up. Like, real talk, 100%, you're going to.
You're going to. I just want everyone to know who's listening, you're going to mess things up.
We all do.
Disastrous and dirty, and but I thrive on that now because I understand that fear is, I'm creating that. So if I get my hands dirty, I get my hands dirty, but I'm still making progress. I think anybody who says, well, I'm just afraid to do that, so I'm going to go back to what I always do, surround yourself with the same people who are negative. I watch people and they're shriveled flowers in this relationship and this circle that they're in. And I'm like, good Lord, you have a heart, you have an idea, you have a brain. Why would you want to surround yourself with everybody who's going to tell you, yes, Kendra, you're a failure. Yes, you tried it and I told you not to. Yes, you should have been fearful of that. And I think more people need to branch out and realize sometimes their circle isn't necessarily where they need to be. They need to branch out of it, get out of it.
Yeah. You know, and I think that when we talk about facing fears, I think if we're focusing on the circle, we're not focusing on the thing.
Agreed.
You know, and at the end of the day, I went to a Tony Robbins thing. Yeah. And if you know me, I'm not necessarily a huge Tony Robbins fan, but I went to this thing because I had never done a thing and I had all these judgments, but I went, and like the one thing that I took away was this thing. He would say, make your move. And then everybody would like, just make your move, right? Like, it's my favorite thing now. And if you go to anything I tell you, like, we do this thing, it's my favorite thing to do. I love it because it changes your state. It's a really powerful tool. So I do this thing, right? And the thing is, make your move. Change doesn't come from thinking. It comes from doing. And the more you do a different thing, the more you learn. And the more you learn, the less fear you are going to have. 9 times out of 10, this fear is based on our belief that we can't handle the consequence. The worst case scenario, we won't be able to handle it. When I can get honest with myself about that, I can see that I can still make my move, and then I can give myself enough time and space to work on the things that need to be worked on. If it's confidence, if it's my mindset, if it's my belief systems, I can work on all of those things. What you will ultimately find is that when you peel back those layers, is that you are not fundamentally broken. You are not unlovable. You are not destined to fail. You are not bad at money. You are not bad at relationships. Like, you are not those things. Those are thoughts that you think, right?
Yes.
They might have been behaviors that you've had, but it is not who you are. When we get to that point, that real point of seeing ourselves authentically, fuck everyone else. Forget your circle, forget your boss, forget your partner, forget your kids. Like, you are always a human being and an individual first. And when you look at you, you get to decide who you are. And so, yeah, I'm afraid of doing videos. I'm afraid every single time I get on here. I'm sweating like you wouldn't believe. I sweat every week. I sweat on every video I do.
Why? You're such a natural.
It's so hard for me, Ted. Like when I tell you it is hard for me, anybody who knows me, who's ever done a workshop with me, knows that 2017 was my fucking year to face my fears. And my fear was about videos. And when I faced my fear, it was a big deal. Yeah. And really what it came down to was that I told myself one thing, that if I didn't want to do anything, and that reason was because I was afraid of what people would say about my body, I was going to do it no matter what.
Understood.
It doesn't matter what the thought is, what the fear is. I'm not giving any credence to that negative voice in my head. If it is because I'm afraid of what people are going to say about my body or my physical appearance, that is not a good enough reason. I am more than my appearance. I have a brain, I have a heart, I have will, I have compassion, I have a bunch of other things. And this is how I communicate it to the world. So
I love though that you shared that it's still a struggle. Struggle's my word. You didn't say that, but I
know.
Right. So, but I want people to know that you still can face it and still not feel great.
Yeah.
When you're doing it, it's okay to not feel great when you're doing it, but you're still doing it. You're still progressing.
And you know what? Like I still sweat. I still feel nervous. But you know what? There's this moment in each of these videos when I do the thing anyways, right? There's a moment where I feel like I'm in my flow. You know, like when you say you're a natural, like I don't even know how to respond to that. But what I do know is that there are moments, because my goal is to just be myself. Like I'm not trying to get clients right now. I'm not trying to do anything. You're asking me questions and I'm giving you my honest answers. And that's the world according to Kendra. That's it. Right. But like, because my goal is to just be myself, and it's not to make you like me. It's not to get more clients. It's not for any of that. I love this stuff. I love talking to you. I love connecting with you. I love the idea of helping other people and being a 30-minute window where somebody can be like, shit, I can live my best life.
Yes.
You know, like even all that it is, I can do it be terrified, and I can do it and be sweating. Look how shiny my face is. I am so hot.
You look amazing. But I think that is such a beautiful thing for you to share, because I think people were like, oh, so she faced her fears. She's fine. She does video all the time. She's fantastic. Listen, we all push through. We go, you know what? I'm not going to let my fear be bigger than my dream and what I want to do and my passion. And you have to figure out how to do that. It doesn't mean it's easy every single time. Yep. You're going to struggle. You're going to have issues like you were talking about. I can't see you sweating or being shiny, but I can tell you I have been in that role. When people interview me, sometimes I still get like, holy crap, I'm going to be an idiot on this show. I'm not afraid of it when I'm in charge, truth be told. But when I'm a guest, it's like, God dang, what if I say the wrong thing? And I'm like, you don't say the wrong thing. And who cares if you do?
Yeah.
But it can be very overwhelming. But I love the fact that you shared, and thank you, that you have still these moments, this thought process that you're constantly trying to address and overcome. And it's a journey. It's not an immediate destination. Hey, guess what, Kendra? You've said I faced my fears, so all my fears are faced. Woo! It's not like that. It's just not like that.
It isn't. And you know what? It's not supposed to be easy.
It's not.
Like embrace the suck. You know, I think Brene Brown said that in Braving the Wilderness. Embrace the suck. Like find the thing in you that says this should be easy. It should come naturally for me. No. Like, let it go. Let it be hard. There was I saw something this morning, and it was another therapist, and she was talking about this idea that at some point in time we learned how to avoid and protect ourselves from fear. But really, in order to face it, we have to sit in it, right? Like I need to experience fear physically. Like I need to let myself feel it. I need to ask the questions to understand it more. And the more we ask the questions and we're willing to just be in it, I'm willing to be sweaty and shiny and go through this process every damn week, sometimes multiple times a week. I'm in it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I'm doing the things. And the more I do it, it's not that it gets like I still sweat and I still have my experience, but I also recognize that the thing that I was the most afraid of hasn't come to fruition yet.
Correct.
But when it does, I'm ready. I
You're
know
ready.
who I am. I know what I do. I know what my intention and my motives are. Like I rest at night with that truth.
All right. So how do people reach out? I love this topic. That was awesome. How do people reach out, learn more, get to know Stellar Life Coaching and Kendra Davies? What's the best way?
Sure. So you can find me at stellarlifecoaching.com. My phone number is there. You can text or call that number. I'm also tagged in every single one of these videos on Ted's page and on the TED Show page. And you can feel free to reach out to me on Facebook. Let's connect. I'd love to help.
You're amazing. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Facing your fears, you guys.
Hard
Good job,
things,
Kendra. Yes, big hearts. I can't do that because I don't know why, but I adore you. And I love the fact that Jackson came in and out of there. That's also seriously one of the reasons why I love a live show. You never know what's going to happen, and it's awesome. Thank you for sharing all of that. You're amazing. Love you to pieces. Kendra Davies, you guys, reach out to her. She's just as awesome in person as she is on this show. She's awesome. So thank you.
Thank you, Ted.
All right, guys, we'll see you soon next week.
Bye.
God only knows. I'll find out the topic next, I don't know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We love you guys. We'll